Obviously it's been a long time since Mississippi State got a win at Rupp. What are you preparing for in one of the most premier environments in college basketball?
We're preparing for their team. I mean, they're obviously a great team, really well coached, Hall of Fame coach, excellent backcourt. I think Higgins is really special. He's, he'll be up for Defensive Player of the Year. I mean, his hands are just lethal. I mean, he's so good at anticipating and creating havoc with his defense on and off the ball. Quickly is just playing unbelievable, shooting 48% from three in the conference, which is mind-boggling. And then Maxey's, he's an NBA player and an incredible talent. So those three guards are incredibly difficult to match up with because they can all drive it, they all shoot it. They're really good in transition. And Nick Richards has been just an unbelievable story in terms of his growth as a player and how dominant he's been over the course of the last dozen games or so. He's a special talent and obviously, a huge factor for him offensively. Both not only on the block, but also he can face up, make 15, 70-foot shots, which I had no idea he could do until this year. Looks really good doing it. He's an animal in the offensive glass. Every time the man guarding him goes to block, he's going to dunk it if they miss, unless you're unbelievably good at rotating down and blocking them out. I mean, he's a great rim protector. Montgomery's a really good player and really long, good defender, playing very well. And, they've got, really good minutes coming off the bench. So, Sestina's a really good shooter, stretches the floor. He's a graduate transfer they picked up, I think from Bucknell, as I remember. But they have a lot of talent, a lot of ability.
I know you guys didn't get in quite the deficit against Tennessee that you had in a couple other games as far as getting down by double digits, but it seems like those guys, the switch comes on in the second half. Is that more about the adjustments you make or the players just seeing what works and what doesn't work?
I thought we got the good starts in our first two games in that three-game homestand against both Missouri and against Georgia. And then from that point, it's been a slow start, it seems like. But we've got we have no chance tomorrow unless we play 40, consecutive minutes of really good basketball. And that's what we've got to do as a team moving forward.
Go to Brian, middle second row.
You mentioned Richards. Obviously, he and Reggie are two of the top premier post players in this conference and in the country. When you have a matchup like that between two stars, is it difficult for the player sometimes to sort of keep his focus on, look, it's not just outdoing this guy, it's about winning.
Yeah, I think you guys are making that more of a big deal than they do. I mean, this is something that, is a great story. But, I mean, Reggie's trying to win the game for Mississippi State, and Nick Richards trying to win it for University of Kentucky. I mean, I don't think they're coming in this game thinking, I'm going against Reggie Perry. And it is what it is. There's someone really good on that other team every night. It's about us winning. So, again, that's a media-driven story versus anything coming from either one of those players.
We'll go to Logan to coach's left.
Is there anything, an advantage or anything just to having guys that have already played in Rupp Arena, just the kind of the mystique and things that go with Kentucky basketball? Most of the guys on your roster have played in that building before.
Yeah, I mean, I think that obviously when you have experience, having been through it or been somewhere before, that helps you. I mean, at the end of the day, it's a basketball court. They've got a great home court advantage, and you've got to play really well to beat anybody on the road, much less Kentucky, which has the best home court advantage in our conference, and just a great atmosphere for basketball on a national level. I mean, I don't know that there's any better home court in the entire country.
Obviously, DJ's not your typical freshman since he redshirted last year, and you've coached a lot of guys that were good on the defensive end, but not so much a rank, but how rare is it to have a guy like DJ that is such a good defender so early in his career?
DJ's a great on-ball defender, but DJ's got to get better off the ball. I mean, if you're really watching the game, and I'm telling him this all the time, he's not rotating down when our big's going over. And he had 8 defensive rebounds, for us at Oklahoma. but he's got to be more consistent with that end. So on the ball, he's terrific. Contesting shots, he's unbelievable. Staying in front of the ball, pressuring the ball, he's great. But he's got to become a much better basketball player defensively off the ball. And with his length, his anticipation, he can be really special that way as well. So he has a lot of growth and a much higher ceiling at the defensive level that he's going to be able to reach as he continues to learn and continues to grow.
Anything else for Coach before we let him know? Let's go back to Paul.
I know he can't play this year, but I was totally coming along in practice.
Good. He doesn't get to play much in practice because when we're preparing for practice, we're playing the 10 guys that are eligible playing the games. So, once in a while we use them in situations, but like yesterday, we had a very light walkthrough and they lifted, and then afterwards the guys like him, for example, that aren't getting a lot of minutes, we had them work out for an hour. He's good. I mean, he's going to be a very good player for us. He's got great hands, great feel for the game, very good around the basket in the post area offensively. Very good passer. I'm really impressed with his passing skills. And he's big, physical, he's a good athlete. I mean, he's going to be an excellent player for us. I wish he was eligible right now.
Anybody you compare him to? Anybody remind you of?
Not off the top of my head, but he's going to be good. I mean, I think, I'm just so thankful and feel so blessed that we have him there sitting in the wings.
All right, thank you guys.
Thanks, Ben.